why is this the social activism morality checkpoint of the world? I could name you 15 other conflicts where 20 more people have died, and they don't get 1.1% of this coverage. Why is it when I could talk to you about Syria and Yemen and all the other things that in 10 years have a higher death count than everything that's happened since 48? 10 years, more people died than since the creation of Israel on both sides combined. Yet no one there are not 250,000 people in the streets of London. The whole world is not up in arms. People are not being openly anti-Semitic. What's happening in the Congo?
Violent clashes have rocked the Democratic Republic of Congo's capital city of Kinshasa. Demonstrations took place outside embassies of several Western nations and the offices of the United Nations.
Talk to me about Nigeria.
No justice! Now! Answer! Now!
Talk to me about Ethiopia.
On Sunday, a massive rally was held in Addis Ababa against the United States sanctions. Demonstrators packed a stadium in the capital for pro-government rallies, chanting against U.S. sanctions and waving posters accusing of foreign powers of interfering in Ethiopia's sovereignty. Thousands have been killed and about 2 million people have been forced from their homes in Tigray after conflict erupted between the Tigray People's Liberation Front and the Ethiopian military in November.
Talk to me about what they're doing to them over there. Muslims killing Muslims, no news. We don't hear about it.
The United States is the biggest supporter and funder of Israel. We provide Israel with weapons. We provide Israel with defense systems. We provide Israel with more money than any other country in the world, and Israel's the biggest recipient of all of our military support.
I really want to ask.
Also, let me finish. Hold on. You asked
how
me a
much
question.
of a one-way street do you think? You really think that's a one-way street? Do you know what Israel does for the U.S.?
I do. Listen to me. I do.
Okay.
Listen to me.
So then
listen
saying that.
Hold on. You asked a 5-minute question. Said I'll let you answer.
I apologize.
And I gave 30 seconds, and you cut me off.
Going. My bad. Please keep on.
But what you seem to miss, respectfully, is that the point you're trying to make that you think I miss, even though I didn't miss it because I'm an expert on this, is that yes, the United States does a considerable amount for Israel. Israel does a considerable amount for the United States. It's a bi-directional relationship. They have a very strong symbiotic relationship that benefits both parties. Israel is the United States' most important ally in the Middle East. It is its outpost. It is someone with whom it exchanges intelligence technologies. We could go down the list of reasons why it's important, but you're only making my point by bringing that up. Remember, my point is as a U.S. taxpayer, I have an even deeper investment in what happens to Israel in the United States because it's not Yemen and it's not Iraq and it's not Sudan and it's not Cambodia and you get what I'm saying? Because we have a nickel in that dollar that's far more valuable than in any other country. But the point that I was making before you interrupted me was that Iraq, we were in the streets. We took to the streets. We protested. We chanted. We marched. We hated George Bush. People still want George Bush to be a war criminal for that. Just today on Twitter, people were applauding the Iraqi reporter that threw a shoe at George Bush. What president in American history has had a shoe thrown at him by a foreign government and his own people applauded? My point is that it's simply not true to say we weren't outraged. The whole anti-war movement in the United States and the peace movement was centered around what? An opposition to what was happening in Vietnam.
Yeah, but now you're going back even further. Talk to me about the last 20 years.
I'm giving you context. I understand that you want to begin everything.
Even in Iraq, man, Mark.
So let's go back again.
No, let's not go back. Let's go again.
No, I don't mean let's reverse in time. I'm saying let's return to where we were.
Worldwide, Mark. I'm not talking to you just about what's happening in U.S. colleges, specifically the ones that are getting money from Qatar. Very crazy. Another thing to discuss about the top 5 endowments from Qatar are the top 5 schools that have the most anti-Semitism. Crazy stuff happening. And I'm talking to you about worldwide. Never mind this other crazy stuff that's also
I'm talking worldwide too, but the United States is the biggest, most influential, powerful empire in the world, and so I'm not going to talk about the U.S. with the same, respectfully, with the same significance as I would
my
talk
question was
about.
about the world, Mark.
Yes,
Why is the world
and I'm answering your
okay?
question. You may not like the way I'm answering it, but it's my answer.
Sure.
I'm beginning with the United States, but if you were to look at the UK, France, Germany, they also responded to the Iraq War the same way. If you look at Ukraine,
Not at this volume. Come on.
if you look at Ukraine, the entire world for the last 2 years prior to October 7th was obsessed with addressing Russia's invasion of Ukraine. The UN resolutions, the special rapporteurs, the human rights organizations. And if you don't believe me, you can even look at the studies that have been done on media, on headlines and media
But
representations.
you know that war's still going on, right?
But please, you know that I wasn't finished, right? So let me just finish. So again, you made a claim that nothing else is getting this level of attention globally, and I'm saying that that's not true. I also want to, that's just factually untrue. But here's something else that's not
Facts
true. But let me finish. Hold on.
facts.
Also, more children were killed in the first week in Gaza, and certainly the first month in Gaza. I just don't have the exact number in front of me. But more children were killed. It depends on whether you count who's under the rubble. But than all of Ukraine in a year. So it's not just that other countries got the attention. It's also that the gravity of this is extraordinary.
What about the gravity of October 7th? Like, it's funny how you don't you mentioned the result of October 7th, but you like why
Because you
were they
asked
in the
me.
rubble? But why were they in
Because
the
you asked
rubble?
me. Because
Why
you
were
asked
they in
me
the
the question.
rubble?
Hold on. No. Hold on. But this becomes a sleight of
No.
hand. No. You asked me about why the world is responding to what's happening. I answered that question. And
What I'm saying
This
is why.
is what you just
What
did.
I'm saying is why does the
Let
world
me explain something
see?
to the people watching. This
Okay.
is what it feels like you just did to me. You said, um, Mark, why is cancer research so intense? And I say, well, because there's all these forms of cancer and blah, 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 blah. And you go, but you didn't say a word about AIDS. You hate AIDS. And it's like, well, no, you asked me about cancer. You just asked me about the world's
Don't
response to
have
what's happening.
to
Let me,
do it.
no, I'm not done. You asked me what happened to why is the world responding this way to what's happening in Gaza?
Yes.
I didn't say pre October 7th, on
You
October
didn't
7th, or after October
mention
7th.
it though. In your explanation, October 7th needs to be a part of what you're talking about, or else you're just taking the story and cutting it in half,
I
which I
didn't
don't
cut
appreciate.
anything in half. I answered your question, which was, why is the world responding more to this than that? Now, if you're asking me about October 7th, my answer to you is Hamas's actions on October 7th, in my opinion, were a violation of international law. They were a war crime. They were a violation of Islamic law. And in my estimation, and there are many debates about this, but in my opinion, and you don't
Debates
even know
about what?
what I'm about to
Oh,
say. You can't be outraged about the thing that I didn't say yet.
okay. Let's go. I'm ready.
But just as a matter of engaging someone,
Sure.
you might want to let them finish before you act outraged by what they said, because I
When
haven't
it's
said it
not,
yet.
anyway, okay, I'm sorry. You're right. When it's, I just, I'm
So
not a
so so
debate.
so there are many debates about this.
Right.
Um, but from where I sit, there is never I never approve of the killing of innocent people under any circumstances. Um, of innocent people. I never believe that civilians should be indiscriminately targeted. I understand that there will be times where in war, there will be collateral damage, there will be casualties. I understand that. But that's different than intentionally targeting civilians. So as I've said since,
Intentionally targeting civilians.
you asked me about Hamas, right? That's what we're
Oh,
talking about,
Hamas.
right?
Yeah.
Oh,
It's
now
okay.
you're
I thought
okay.
you were talking.
Now you're okay. You're not outraged
No,
anymore. Okay, cool. So,
listen. One's a terrorist army, and one. Anyways, continue.
well, we could debate about that, but
No need.
um,
We have enough on our plate,
so
Mark. We're good.
so when Hamas does the things that happen on October 7th, which again I begin from saying are a war crime, a violation of international law. We're not in dispute
You have the tone.
about.
You have the tone of someone that's about says with all due respect, and then they're about to say something
No, I have
crazy.
the
Anyways, continue.
tone of someone who's measuring his tone so that we don't continue to go all over the place.
Sure.
Um, I'm saying that that does that allows for self-defense in a response.
Okay.
Israel's response has exceeded the boundaries of international law in terms of proportionality and and being sufficiently discriminate in the targets. More than almost 30,000 people have been killed on record, not to count the 8,000 under the rubble.
How many of those 30,000 are fighters, Mark?
It depends on who you ask.
Right.
There are
So that 30,000 number is not a real
no, it
number,
is a
right? If we're going to talk about
real number. They're people.
no,
Fighters are people.
okay, fighters are people. Okay, fantastic. Innocence, right? That's who, because we're not talking about the Israelis.
So
When we talk about innocence, so deduct already to just be at a clean slate, knock off the number of dead soldiers, Hamas fighters, from your number, and then start your sentence again.
no, I'm saying 30,000 people have been killed. Some of those people are fighters. I don't disagree with you. I didn't say anything that was unfactual.
For the fighters,
What'd you say?
You mourn for the fighters. Your heart hurts that they're dead.
You realize that you just made a statement that doesn't represent anything I just said.
I'm saying what I think. I'm not claiming you said anything. I'm asking you a question.
No. Hold on. I'm not going to allow you to be dishonest. You said so as if you drew a conclusion based on what I just said.
Sir?
And I didn't say that. So no, that's not what happened. Here's what I am saying.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not making an emotional plea here, one way or the other. What I am telling you is, even if we go by what the Israeli government says,
Sure.
because governments aren't honest. No government is honest.
I agree. Both on all governments, including Israel.
So,
I agree.
If Israel's numbers, which is somewhere around 20%, would you agree that Israel says about 20%?
No, at this point it's more because Hamas has supposedly 35,000 fighters.
What percentage would you
20%, almost
say?
7 grand.
Hold on. What percentage would you say of the 30,000 that have been killed are fighters?
Do I have a stethoscope? Am I in Gaza right now? I don't know who's dead and who's not dead.
I'm not sure what a stethoscope.
Hamas doesn't tell you. Hamas does. You don't know who's
I said
dead.
I said the Israeli government. I'm asking you what the Israeli government is asking.
I don't know. This is why I'm talking to the expert.
So now I'm going to go back to what I said. That the Israeli government is estimating about 20%. You said
I know for sure it's more than 7,000. That is for sure. That number was from weeks ago. You're completely wrong on that. I'll bet money, whatever you want, bro, that you're wrong on that. That it's over 10, no matter what.
Over 10 what?
Over 10,000 dead Hamas fighters at this point. Over 10, if not more.
Let's say you're right.
Okay.
Let's say you're right. That would mean that 20,000 people are killed who are not.
Right. And you just did what I asked you to do 30 seconds ago, is start by saying the real things.
No,
Don't talk to me
that is
about
the real thing.
30,000 is a much bigger number than 20,000 when 10,000 of those people are terrorists.
Again, I don't agree with that. The difference is 30 seconds ago, I wasn't relying on your hypothetical made up unsubstantiated number. But I'm saying I will do that for the purpose of this intellectual exercise.
If we go with your number, it's 23,000. You're still misrepresenting the war. Do you understand what I'm saying? Even if we go with your number of 20%, which is 7,000 dead fighters, that still means you should have started your sentence with
it'd be 6,000. It'd be 6,000, but 6,000.
No. There's 35,000 fighters. 20% of that 7,000.
No.
Okay? That's how you do
30,000 are you're missing. I think we're talking about two different numbers. I'm talking about the percentage of people dead who are fighters.
Yes, me too.
30,000 are dead.
Okay, so there'd be 6,000 Hamas fighters in that. Okay, I thought you meant out of Hamas's 35,000.
And that's why I corrected you to say that I wasn't saying that. You insisted that I was.
Okay, so big whoop. We're changing the number now from 23K to 24K, which is still how you should have started your sentence. Everyone on Twitter, you can't. I'm sorry, man. That's not. You can't count. If the people that aren't as well educated about this as you knew, the people who have no connection to Palestine or Israel whatsoever knew that they're tweeting 30,000 dead. If they knew that 6,000 of those dead were Hamas fighters, they would tweet 24,000 dead and not 30.
And what I'm saying, I never got to make a claim about anything about the 30,000 because we got diverted with this. But let's get back to the target, back to the point, right? Every hour, 2 Palestinian women, 2 Gazan women are killed. Mothers are killed, excuse me, to be very specific. 1% of the overall child population of Gaza has been killed since October 7th. That's a fact. These are all just facts.
Again, and then we can go back to what you said with Destiny about and the conversation he had with you about what a child is and what that's defined as, and if a 16-year-old with an AK-47 is a child, you said it was. I vehemently disagree with you on that. If you go to Rwanda and all the places where they have child killers, they've got, anyway, we don't have to get into that.
And I could also push,
Did you
and I
not
could also
say,
push
did
back
you not
against the
say with
argument.
Destiny, did you not say on Destiny show
I'm not disagreeing.
that the
I'm not having a debate with you.
15-year-old with a 15-year-old fighter or 15-year-old trained is still a kid who's got a gun in his hand? That you said that's still a kid. So when you say to me kids and you give me facts about one kid, again, can we please narrow down the numbers to actually say what they are instead of just ballooning things up? A 15-year-old with a gun, to me, I'm sorry, that's not a kid. He's trying to kill my cousin. He's trying to kill my.
Can I just interrupt you for one
Sure.
second? If you look at the conversation with Destiny, which I didn't bring up, you did. So you're having an argument with a conversation I didn't have with you. I didn't say a 16-year-old with a gun. We said a 16-year-old with a rock.
When you're talking about a 15, 16, 17-year-old that spent sometimes years training with weapons and is partaking in active military conflict and then gets killed in said conflict, to say that like, wow, they killed a child, that's really not fair. That's a really...
So when a 15-year-old Palestinian is killed, you're saying that's just an adult kill?
I didn't say that that's just an adult kill. I'm just saying just because they're 15 doesn't mean they were a child. Child cosigns a lot of stuff. There's a lot of associated stuff. Generally, again, it's somebody that's usually helpless. It's somebody that's not taking part in an active military conflict. Usually somebody there's like an assumption of innocence there. But when you've got a 15, 16, 17-year-old child soldier that's been fighting for years, what?
What percentage of guys and children under 18 are participating in military conflict?
I don't know the exact number of that.
I mean, do you have a rough estimate, or we just get? What I'm saying is, it sounds like we're just assuming that because
I know that we've seen literal videos of children. I know there was the one video that we literally saw of a child standing on top of a truck with a sling, slinging a rock at an Israeli soldier, then gets shot, and there's immediately a camera crew and a medical personnel standing right behind them. By the way, that would be a war crime. In order to basically cure him immediately while getting all of it on footage to show that children are being attacked by the IDF, which is like the propaganda lines that are...
in the exact example you're giving, you're saying that wouldn't be... because that child slung a rock, you're saying that means they're a combatant and therefore a child wasn't killed based on the concepts that childhood invokes that you just raised? Is that what you're saying?
Yeah, of course.
Disagree.
Sure, sorry, Iraq.
Okay, no.
That was on top.
No, hold on. Let me pause you. You just said about miseducating an audience and having them get the wrong impression. Do you think saying that I defended a kid with a machine gun AK-47 is comparable to me defending a kid with a rock?